It's going to be huge.
Welcome everyone to the first ever and possibly last ever episode of Podcast The Ventcore. A podcast in which two guys, theoretically with guests at some point, but we'll see about that, sit around and talk about various things related to Mararthon, the community thereof, at least such as it is, and many unrelated things. In fact, probably more of the unrelated things, because who gives a crap, right? Anyway, I'm admin from Indie Effects.
I'm Windbreaker. My name's Ben.
Yep. Since you said your name's Ben.
This is Kyle.
Yeah,
over here.
There we go.
There we go.
So first things first, we got a few things I want to talk about, but firstly, how's the meat server doing?
It's doing great. We've had 129 games this month, and it's December 18th, so we're really going gangbusters this month. We're keeping it busy. It looks like we have had one game of 5 players, as opposed to 75 games of 2 players. So we're staying active. It's doing great.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how the little things like that add up over the month, because it seems like day to day you think, oh, we're dead. It keeps on happening.
Well, that's funny. Like, I don't think that the meat server or like Mararthon Online is really going to completely die until Hopper disconnects the server, which I'm really surprised hasn't happened already, because I haven't heard from that dude in like 2 or 3 years, right?
Well, he was very prompt and nice about fixing that problem I had on the meat server where my account was up there.
Did he email you back?
Yeah, very shortly after.
Oh, okay. Nice. I haven't heard from him in a while.
Fixed the problem.
Yeah.
Problem instantly.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because like I remember like 7 years ago and 8 years ago and even like 10 years ago, people thinking that Mararthon was in its death throes. Right?
I know. We're going to get to some old sites at some point in this episode, but
yeah.
I just find it funny. 1997 is Mararthon doomed by Quake. 2007, the Fortnite campaign. 2017, Yuge.
Right.
Who would have thought?
It gets lamer and lamer every year. But it does, I mean, that's not to say that we haven't only had 129 games this month, right? Like, that's,
Yeah.
We're going gangbusters. But yeah.
And of course, who can forget that we had 855 games in August, and you're welcome, everyone. And
is that when you were hosting?
Yeah, that's when I first started hosting, and
yes.
I blew my load, so to speak.
You've hosted all your games that month, right?
Yeah.
It's a good time. More people should come and hang out, even just to hang out, honestly. That's mainly what I use the chat server for. Is just
Yeah.
I don't even play games anymore, right?
Yeah, it's funny. We'll get to the reason for this in a bit, but last night I made passing reference to what I call the meat server regulars.
Oh, yeah.
Douche Tower, asked me, oh yeah, who would that be? And I thought, well, that's me, Windbreaker, you, Spooky, Sharky Lino, Aqua, and I paused for a moment and he said, that's it.
No, yeah, that's all that's left. And I have a feeling that if any one person left, like, the rest of the people would just stop showing up. So
then I've got to keep putting in my hours.
Sure.
I know that I can't.
You have to step up your game. You got to start hosting more maps with size brackets for one. Okay. And less suicide maps and pepper popper.
But what if I put brackets in those? They'll count, right?
No, it's cheating. You can't be doing that. Yeah, but it's pretty funny, like how it still persists. Yeah. There's not a lot going on.
I mean, I can't really presume to know the exact state of the meat server anyhow, since I've been mainly putting my hours in on the huge playthrough videos, which of course I'm sure anyone listening to this probably already knows about those.
By the way, I do want to say hi to our audience of Douche Tower, and that's it. So what are we gonna say?
Yeah.
And maybe probably Spooky. I think Spooky will listen to this.
Yeah, he should, because
Aqua will not listen to this.
Well, he will. He just
He's still sore about his mom. I would like to say that for the record.
Well, he just won't admit it. He just won't admit that he listens to it. And,
No, I don't really think he does.
Perhaps in utter jealousy.
He hasn't played Yuge yet. I swear to God, right? He's an interesting dude, for sure.
He contains multitudes.
Yeah.
He's like an ogre or an onion. He has layers to him.
Maybe if he knows that we're talking shit about him, he'll listen to the podcast. Maybe that's how we'll get his attention.
Yeah, we'll start up the rumor mill.
Right. But what were we going to say about the huge playthroughs?
What was I going to say about them?
Yes.
Well, simply that on the off chance that anyone not yet familiar with those listening to this, you should watch them. They're better than Avatar or Good Will Hunting or any other critical darling you care to name.
Well, I've been enjoying listening to those.
Do you listen to them when you go to sleep?
No, I don't listen to them when I go to sleep.
Because I've done that too.
I heard that Douche Tower listens to them at work, you know.
Yeah.
You should put the sound of the game into the mix of the video, though. I was thinking about that the other day, because it has the headset audio, and you gotta come... Anyway, that's not important, but... I've tried a couple times to put in the system audio, too. I seem to find a way to balance it so that the sounds aren't too loud. Right. You have 24,000 hours to complete your whole playthrough of Yuge. You do understand that there's like 4,200 levels, right? You are aware of this.
I know he said he's not going to do it, but I do get the sense that Douche Tower is just going to like add on more as I go along.
Well, no, there's a prize at the end of your campaign.
Yeah, at the end of the 500 million thousand that I'll never finish.
Hey man, you said you were going to finish them. What are we? You told us. Listen, we generated thousands of levels, right? So the obligation is on you to finish them.
I know.
We have put in the effort to literally generate the biggest scenario ever.
I know. I do feel a strange compulsion towards this stuff. Or
yeah, there's an obligation there.
Almost literally huge when it comes to Mararthon, because up to this point, save for my 5 piddly huge parts and the any effects release thresholds of right. Hey, check that out, by the way. I've only ever been a participant/cheerleader, so I'm slowly working towards actually doing something significant with all this.
With like mapping and making levels, or the okay. Yeah, you haven't shown us your new map yet. You made thresholds of right.
Right.
Which I believe contains 3 heights on it total. Is that correct?
No, it contains 1.
No, it has 0, it has 0.4, and it has 1 world unit tall, I think.
Yeah,
yes.
Essentially.
So 3 heights.
Although the 0.4 ones are basically surrogate pillars, because I tried to put in that many pillars.
They're ledges, right, that you can get around, yeah.
Yeah, and it broke the item limit, so the level wouldn't launch. But you should have seen this.
Yeah, now it's like 4,800 polygons, right, with 3 levels. So you made that one, right? And what are you working on now that you can tell the community of 4 people about?
Something like
including
that.
us too.
Only better.
Okay.
And
4 heights.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's going to have the bare minimum to have technically variant height, so that Douche Tower will play it.
Technically variant height?
Yeah.
So like size brackets, right? Like
it'll be like this, only I'll take one of those square polygons that I made and just raise the height, and then it'll have height variation, so Douche Tower will play it. That, and it won't be on Tempest IRA, which was Strike 2 in his mind. And it won't have a custom track in it, which was Strike 3, I'm out.
Okay, that's fair.
But I will say that although I am loath to try to speak of things I intend to do before I actually get to them, I thought it'd be neat to make a Pathways into Darkness level.
Oh, nice.
Since I'm already making, level structure that way anyway, or like Wolfenstein 3D.
Right.
It'd be good to put that in, or maybe even make a Pathways into Darkness level that for the first time ever has height variation.
Oh, yeah. Well, both those things would be interesting.
Yeah,
you should try
just
to
imagine, those headless or zombies firing at you from a ledge.
Right.
Like, who would have ever thunk?
So you're going to have, like, custom shapes with this, and you're going to make it in the Marathon engine,
Well,
obviously.
I'm going to make it in the Mararthon Pathways into Darkness game, since...
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay. Does that have a level editor that you can... Or you mean the scenario, right?
Yeah, the scenario.
That's
so I would
right.
just
That's right.
put it into...
I was thinking of the application, like the Mac application for some stupid reason.
Yeah.
Okay, no. I remember I tried to make... what was the guy's name that made that? He contacted me to make a level like 10 years ago for Marathon Pathways into Darkness. I never did it. Like, I never completed it. I had said, like, yeah, dude, I'll totally do it. And I think I got like 30 polygons in and never finished it. So.
Okay, so it turns out it wasn't Douche Tower who single-handedly ruined the Marathon Pathways into Darkness community. You did it together.
I'm not familiar with what did he do with the Pathways into Darkness community.
Well, the community was only the guy who made it, and Douche Tower, I think, indirectly convinced him not to do it anymore.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that game just wasn't finished if the guy didn't read all the levels for it.
No, I don't think he ever did.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably like life that encouraged him to not finish that scenario. Because scenarios are so much like effort,
Oh, I know. But I recall Douche Tower actually directly linked a post in a thread where the creator actually said something like, it was thanks to him that I realized that this was not the path to go down.
Oh, okay. What a douche, man. Goodness. Yeah. No, it's funny, even like working on Yuge, which is like the simplest and easiest scenario to actually make, it was like such a stupidly fucking retarded headache to actually, you know what I mean, like to figure everything out. And we only did a couple things that were like slightly complicated, but yeah, so I can't imagine like actually putting together a real scenario, because like
or having to try and painstakingly copy what was done in Pathways.
Exactly.
Like that just almost gives me a headache thinking about it.
Yeah, I recall having height variation on my level, so I don't remember
in the Pathways level.
Yeah, but maybe I was doing it wrong too. I don't remember exactly. I remember approaching it like a Marathon level rather than a Pathways into Darkness level. Right. But let's see.
Anyway, so on to more details about the state of the meat server, as it were. Yesterday, we were visited all at once by some mysterious guests who claimed they were modding, and one of them hosted a game that Spooky and I wound up in on the stock level Vulcan with aliens in it.
Oh, that sounds so boring.
Well, the catch was that every weapon projectile was a rocket.
Oh,
I never played that before.
That sounds actually pretty fun.
Yeah, it was.
For one time at least.
But of course, me, I would have liked it even without that, but with that mod, it was pretty hectic, albeit with lag for whatever reasons.
Right.
Possibly the fact that Spooky was in there, and he's from Australia where the toilets flush in the wrong direction. But, yeah, none of us had ever seen those guests before. And for a moment I wondered if it was some meat server regulars, which is why I got put in that spot, realizing that there are only 5 of us left.
How did that game go? Did you end up winning in that game?
I got second place. Spooky got first place.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Which is funny because, and this is the bigger issue, Spooky's state of mind was dubious.
Dubious. Okay.
Yeah, he was really incoherent.
Really? Yeah.
Remember, at one point he was expressing gratitude for how lucky we are to be in the meat server and for it to exist, which I agree with.
I think that's spooky.
Yeah. And I agree, but then he said, God bless the Japanese, and then after that, I love me some yuppies.
I guess.
What is that all about?
I guess, the road to recovery is long and arduous, right?
The recovery from not smoking weed.
Right, exactly. The recovery from not smoking weed, which I can't even currently comment on, you know.
Yeah, and then later on, he made allusions to, well, I basically said after the match, that was really good. And then he said something like, yeah, my dad told me something was good, and he was talking to me.
Oh, I think, I was there for that.
Yeah, and then he said something about either he hitting his dad on the head, or his dad doing that to him.
That's very strange.
Or something, and then he just left.
That's very peculiar, yeah.
So, I think this further goes to show that for Spooky, the literal and figurative existential smoke still has not cleared.
Still has not.
And it never will.
And it never will. Hey, you don't know that, man. But yeah, you might want to lay off the dubious dubers for a while. I don't know.
But yeah, we're just messing around. We all love you, Spooky.
Of course.
I just gotta give him gratitude for being the one person who would tag along with me through all those suicide maps.
Oh yeah. I'm not gonna do that.
That was in August, yeah, when I did 700 games.
Yeah.
And if it hadn't been for him, no one else would have done that. Granted, Douche Tower was the one who introduced me to that stuff in the first place and gave me the initial mini tour of it, which I can thank him for among various other things. But
of course,
it was Spooky and I who went through literally every one except for the ones that just would not launch for some weird technical reason.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. No, I love Spooky.
Yeah,
a little too much sometimes. You know, he's a cool dude. Yeah. So what do you have here about classic Mararthon sites? That's
Yeah. So I was just thinking about sites from the past and the golden nuggets that can be found on them. So I was looking through the page 2401 page.
What is the page?
It's on the website Mararthon Story.
Okay.
It has links to different Mararthon sites, and of course, the vast majority of them are no longer up.
Right.
So I had to look through the Internet Archives for each of them, and some of them wouldn't even come up on that. It's funny that there are several archives for pages that haven't been active since before those archives. So you see archive 97, 99, 2003, etc., and there's nothing there on each of them. So who archives that stuff and why? Anyway.
Yeah, I remember finding Fileball again on the archive. You said that Haster's Workshop still exists?
Yes, in fact.
Is that on the Wayback Machine or something?
No, actually, I think I saw it just up in general.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Haster's Workshop. Because I thought that's been down for years. I used that website for a couple of mapping techniques that I had, sort of focused on over the years, like the putting transparent textures directly on the same line as solid textures, right? I did that in a couple. You can't do that in Wayland, I don't think, but you can do it in Forge. And I think, what was it, the water cannons, maybe? I learned from that, and a couple other things. I can't recall, but that was a cool website. Oh no, it is still up. It just my bookmark was not active. Interesting. Differential shading. Yeah, I remember that. Learning about that, which is really helpful because people need a differential.
And there are some websites. There were some websites that I wanted to get to that I won't this time. Whether it be those classic J. Christopher Huddy websites for the Mararthon scenarios, Los Disneys, and Blood of Bin Laden. I mean, we get to devote an entire episode to the gold found there. Or sites like the Battle Cats Litter Box.
I remember that one. Is that still up?
It might be. I went to links for it and it turned up nothing.
Yeah.
But it's probably archived somewhere else.
I don't know why, but I get the sense that the Battle Cat is dead. The guy, he was really old, Gary something.
Yeah, Gary L. Simmons, but don't you remember I sent you a text message? That
he was still alive. Yeah, that's right. I still think he's dead for some reason. It's just a feeling I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
You think someone took over his account?
No, it's just... I remember the Battle Cats website, and what was the one? It was a Marathon .bungie.org no, not that one. Maybe that was it, but it was like one of the really cool old Marathon websites. Did you ever visit that one?
I did visit that one once.
Yeah. Is that still up? Is that just one that...
Well, there is Marathon.bungie.org, but it's in a different state.
It's in a different state.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it used to be...
yeah, I remember.
It wasn't updated for a long time, I don't think. But, yeah. Anyways, that's random stuff.
And there was also the AP page on John Iron's website, which would be worth covering at some point.
John Irons?
Yeah, it wasn't John Irons himself, but a page that he hosted by someone named AP. I think you linked me to his website once because he had a bunch of Marathon reviews.
Oh, yeah. Someone did. No, they were on GeoCities. There's a guy who, as recently as 2016, updated like a GeoCities page with random, Marathon reviews of just maps and.
I didn't know he kept it up for that long. I admire that commitment.
Yeah, no, he reviewed like a couple of my one of my recent packs. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really random.
that site AP, it has a lot of one-liners, just kind of odd journal entries and the like, not even necessarily related to Marathon, but in general.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to take the time to comb through that and make sure I get all the gold nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
But what was that?
No, I was gonna say I'm not familiar with a lot of that stuff. I remember so I got the Action Sack. That's what it was called, the Action Sack.
Yeah, I remember that.
Bungie Mac Action Sack. So I got the Action Sack back in 1998 or 99 or whatever.
Right.
When my brother randomly got, he actually got it at CompUSA, and it was like when my parents had got a new computer for the family or whatever. So he got that, and that came with the Marathon Trilogy. And we played that on our computer for years, but then for a while we literally didn't have internet because we lived out in a more rural area or whatever, and I don't know, it wasn't as prevalent or whatever. So I didn't find Marathon online until 2005 or something weird, really late. When I had gotten my own computer, and I didn't find the community until 2006. In its state that it kind of remained in until now, which is the forums and story forums kind of having some light activity, and simplicity and all that. But I was never on the AIM chat servers or any of these old websites. Which
good, because
you
wouldn't have been here today because you would have hated me.
Oh really? Were you on there?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, I wasn't really that bad. I was just 12 and silly.
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, you might remember Douche Tower pulling up old quotes from me talking about.
What did you go by back then?
The Sewer Tiger.
The Sewer Tiger. Yeah. Okay.
So I was just saying stuff about how I wanted lemon meringue pie really bad, and my dad was a hoser, and many people compared me to Mick Allen. Okay,
I gotcha. God, that name doesn't sound familiar. Did you ever run into me back then on the meat server?
Oh, probably at some point, and I just forgot.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
No, I forgot too.
Yeah.
But I haven't been to a lot of those older websites.
It's interesting to see how there was at one point several specific geographic chapters for Marathon teams.
Oh, really?
And this was back before the internet, so when people were close enough together and would just find each other and start up the Lower East Michigan Marathon chapter or something with entire dedicated websites and banners and
that's cool.
Insane shit.
That's gonna come back, believe me. It's after Marathon 4, which has just been announced. I have it on good authority that it's being made right now.
And of course, it'll be spelled PFHOR.
Oh God.
Maybe with a U between the O and the R, but yeah.
For. Yeah, of course. That's I was never on those old websites.
But I want to run through some that I found and what I found interesting about them. Mm-hmm. And by the way, for those listening, I'll have all these links posted in the description below the episode wherever this is uploaded.
Are you going to link Marathon Yuge in your Yuge playthroughs? Because currently the description says this movie is about my video. Is I think what it says, or this video is about my movie.
I think it just says this is about my movie, but
no, it says this video is about my movie. Is what it says. Yeah.
It's a stupid automatic iMovie.
Oh, totally. But yeah, what do you got here?
So firstly, there's this webpage by someone named Ariane Connor, or maybe it's Ariane Connor. It's spelled Arianne. And this page is pretty old, I think, from the late 90s, early 2000s. Well, everything linked on page 2401 is because it's just old and abandoned.
Sure.
But this one's notable for having those charts of different enemy classes and their ranks and states within the game. So it will show, say, all the 4 fighters in Mararthon 1 or 2.
Look at that.
You know, the green, purple, red and blue ones, when they're fighting, when they're dead, their projectiles, etc. Of course, at this point, it's not a big deal, but I think at the time, it was pretty interesting, and I think in the years since I keep seeing that pop up, so we can thank Ariane Connor, except the twist here is that Ariane Connor is not a real person, because when you go to the main page, you see that Ariane is this made-up cartoon waifu by this guy named Philip Moyer.
Philip Moyer?
Yeah, Philip. So yeah, she's not even real. He just made her up. And the plot thickens because the main site was last updated in 2014, and as of that year, the web poster has been an artist for over 20 years and has had Ariane for at least that long. So
this is way more interesting than his Mararthon.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I even brought it up, because otherwise it would have just
go to the main page.
Mention.
Right.
But yeah, like the fact that he 20 years, I can't believe it.
you mean with Ariane Connor?
Yeah,
and
the made-up person. He stayed true to his made-up life for 20 years.
Sure. Yeah. My SO/creator.
Yeah. Yeah, Philip doesn't even mention Mararthon, but Ariane does.
Wow, so okay.
At first I wondered if maybe I stumbled across a sub-page that wasn't even on his website anymore because he lost interest. But it turns out it's just the side of him that's Ariane that cares.
Right. This is actually, honestly, about 500 times more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
So let's track this person down for an interview.
Yeah. That should be your new get for the podcast is Philip Moyer or Ariane Connor.
Yeah. Depending
on what mood he's in, God damn, that's weird. Yeah. Well, that's cool. This is very helpful that he had his
wife inside his
wife. Yeah, and she's got a little sticker from the Mararthon trilogy image here.
Right. I hope she keeps that in her Trapper Keeper.
There you go.
Who's that lady who made all those? Laura Frank or something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just remember this.
Some simian foodhole, doesn't matter.
Right.
Anyway, so the next website is an archived one, and it's actually a subpage on marathon.org. It's simply a fun little list that kind of takes you back because it contains memories that are, or references that are specific to that time. And it's, I don't know how many of you have seen this already, but it's
I have not ever
top
seen
10
this.
list, top 10 signs you've been playing Mararthon too long, and this is from 1995.
Oh, this is like a Letterman type thing. We should have had like a snare drum or something so we could do a little.
So number 10, you feel the urge to shoot coworkers who wear green jumpsuits. I've never had coworkers with green jumpsuits, but I'll bet if I saw one, the thought would occur to me. Anyway,
like the jumpsuits that like the Bobs and Mararthon 2 and Infinity have.
Yeah,
they're so just like. They reminded me of like Star Trek Next Generation costumes from the 80s.
That's probably what they came from.
That probably is, because I think I've seen a few references of Star Trek in Mararthon. Yeah. But like, I don't know, just the absolute lameness of their costume is quite amusing to me.
Yeah, I told you this on the Meet server before, and actually in person too, and I also mentioned it once in the Mararthon 2 playthrough series, but when I was 5, I actually wanted to go as one of the Bobs for Halloween.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and
that wouldn't have gone well.
yeah, probably not. My parents wanted to help me do it, but I guess they couldn't find all the right equipment or something. Maybe they felt they couldn't find the right...
The shitty onesie.
The monocle.
Okay,
or whatever. Thing to put on my eye.
Right.
But, yeah, I was in kindergarten, and I played on kindergarten skill level because I thought that's what I had to do, which technically at the time was true, but not for the reasons I thought. And I actually looked up to the Bobs, which is funny because now I just kind of feel sad for them.
Oh yeah.
But
no, I remember playing on Kindergarten 2 because Marathon 2 was my first complete playthrough of one of the games.
Yeah.
And because I was 6 or something on my first playthrough, and it was still, I don't know, it was still slightly challenging because I sucked back then. But
yeah.
What was even more challenging was trying to figure out Forge when I was 7, and I didn't want to read any of the manuals or anything. I would vaguely get the height differences of I have a 0.2 staircase, and then I'd be all right, Anna, the next height is 4, right? And I would just not, I could not figure out the whole system when I was a little kid, which was kind of funny.
Well, yeah, I mean, it paid off.
Right. Oh, totally. Those in the meat server, which has 125 games. Is that what we've got this month?
131 or something.
Yeah, it absolutely paid off. 129 games. Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Let's continue here. So
number 9. Number 9. You actually read all the posts in alt.games.marathon. I would like to stop and mention that alt.games.marathon still gets posted in sometimes by real people. I went there about a month ago, and yeah, there was a bunch of spam and nonsense, but there are still some people that are actually talking about it, and Forrest Cameronesi, the legend of Marathon Eternal fame, actually still posts there too, which is remarkable because, I mean, I know he's been around for a while, but I think you can even see posts by him in 1995 on that message board or something. So, Forrest, thank you for your long commitment, especially to something that's not neck-bearded and terrible, like Philip.
Forrest made a great "your mom" joke against me on the forums that I just have to acknowledge that was really, really good. Better than any of Aqua's jokes, for sure.
That's a low bar.
That's absolutely low bar.
But yeah, I believe you.
What's next?
So number 8. When asked about your opinion of the Simpson murder trial, yeah, taking us back all right, you respond, Durandal, no question.
This really reads like a Letterman top 10 list.
Yeah, in fact,
in the sense that it's
he probably copy-pasted a Letterman joke and then just edited.
Yeah, that's actually probably right. It's 35% kind of funny, and
yeah, and
very Letterman.
The Letterman version was probably Leno, no question. Or something.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's totally it.
So,
Number 7.
When asked how you spent Christmas break, you brag about Bob Hang Time.
Bob Hang Time.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean. They just hang Bobs up like ornaments?
I would have chuckled, though, because it looks like it should be amusing.
Yeah.
Number 6.
You carry around a Pez dispenser and always enter your clip before entering a room.
Always empty your clip.
Yeah.
I did that, when I started playing Halo, I would do that instead of reloading, just out of habit from always playing Marathon. I would empty the clip instead of just pressing the reload button.
At first I thought you meant that because of Halo you started doing that with your Pez dispensers.
No.
That would have been pretty fat.
That would be pretty good.
Number 5. You've recorded the dimensions of every room in your office or college, waiting for the moment a real map editor ships. We're still waiting.
Hey, well, that one's pretty good.
Oh yeah, it is good. Yeah, I definitely don't want to besmirch the ones responsible for that because it's good and they did what they could with what they had.
I definitely tried.
I know it wasn't an easy road getting to that level of functionality post Forge in the Intel OS 10. era.
Oh yeah, no, I remember drawing, and Sharky Lino will like this because I remember drawing making lines empty in rooms in maps, so that like marking them as empty in Forge, so that the visual range is blocked. And the reason you would do this is with Aleph 1, or even with Mararthon, the engine itself could handle more lines in a map, but Forge was a total pussy about it. And so you would have to set these empty lines in the map to actually create a complex area. Otherwise it would just overload and shit the bed. And so I remember having to do that in the old days. I don't know quite how that ties into number 5, but it's a fun little factoid that Sharky Lino would like.
That's good.
Yeah.
4. You actually got the Attack Bob patch to work. Now that's a mystery to me because I have no idea what that is. It's probably lost in the ether. But I'm guessing it has something to do with Bobs, who, remember at the time, didn't yet have guns in Marathon games.
Right.
Attacking the player. 3. You sidestep around corners, quote, to get a better line of sight. I've actually done that.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I had a dream in Marathon once, 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It was a 4 level, an Infinity 4 level, and I was dreaming. I think it was kind of like the really dark sections of the second map in Infinity. So I've definitely had some real life crossover. Minute number 2, though. Usually these are the funniest of the Letterman top 10s.
Yeah. Upon entering an unfamiliar room, you flip all the light switches you can find and knock on walls to find secrets. I've done the switches part actually, albeit mainly when I was a kid, and I was thinking, oh yeah, it's like a Marathon, so I actually did that, but I never knocked on walls to find secrets.
Right.
Maybe I should start.
I remember the knocking part, that's supposed to be the action key or something.
yeah, that's probably it. Or, sometimes I'll read people phrase it as smacking the balls, and I just love the idea of getting kicked out of a place or fired from my job because I just go around the walls and just start smacking one world unit at a time.
Right.
What the fuck are you doing? I think. I'm finding secrets.
Right. You've got number 1 right here. Let's hear this one.
2 words. Nerf weapons.
Yeah, I'll get that one. What does that mean?
It means if you
if
you decide to get Nerf weapons after playing a lot of Marathon, then that's a sign you play too much, I guess.
Right.
It's kind of a dud of the list.
My thoughts exactly. But, like I said, it follows the Letterman formula. The number 1 joke is not ever the funniest, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty on point there. Good job to that dude.
Yeah. Now for another site. This is the site for the ultimately abandoned scenario, Assault on Blarfa, with Blarfa is spelled B-L-A-R apostrophe F-A.
Oh wow.
By someone who calls themselves Even Steven. Even Steven, in his final update, officially gave up on the project once Marathon was old to him, and this was late 99. He may have given it to the now defunct Orphanage page, and he was considering porting the game to Half-Life instead. But I think you can still technically download a demo of it, which is 5 levels and probably about as much as you could hope for from a teenager in 98. But here are a few kind of interesting quotes. One quote is Friday the 13th, and Friday is spelled with PFH. Every Saturday, or at least the ones that I can attend, there will be a chat for those who have questions or whatnot about Assault on Blarfa. Can you...
Assault on Blarfa? It's spelled with the 4 stylization,
right.
The apostrophe. That's a good name. I like that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to imagine, even in that era, having your own chat room set up that people would come in to at a certain time to ask you questions about your Marathon scenario. I wonder if that even happened.
Probably not.
Was there one person coming in asking questions? Did they leave fulfilled?
Probably exactly one person came to his chat.
Yeah, it was Douche Tower.
There you go. Right.
He was always Douche Tower. And here's another quote.
Douche man.
Shortly after, he says, "For those who don't have Hotline, this is how to get it and how to get to the correct chat room. Go to www.hotlinesw.com, not www.hotline.com, unless you want to see some porn. Good thing I checked."
Have you gone to hotline.com, admin?
No, I didn't try.
No, that's where Oxford goes, I hear. That's where his mom is. That's where her videos are.
Yeah. Even Steven was, jacking it to Aqua Mom in 99.
Hotline SW. What's the SW stand for?
Southwest, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Hotline Southwest.
Yeah. Next quote, "I've only gotten the chance to update the page today, and I did so by moving all the links to a different area. Also, I might divide it into two categories, cool links," and he spells cool K-E-W-L, and just links. I don't think I'll need to explain cool links, but just links will be links to friends' pages that just have stupid stuff like Pokemon and crap. Please sign the guest book. The world will be a much happier place if we do. And that was among the last we ever heard from even Steven.
Still, the most interesting aspect of his whole thing is just the name of the scenario. It's a lot like most scenarios. The most interesting element of them is the title screen, because that's usually all that ever exists.
Yeah, I still love the huge one. I'm glad that I happened to innocently stumble upon that thanks to the idiom generator.
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah.
If you haven't checked out the idiom generator, listeners, check it out. Of course.
What did it say on the title screen?
It said, "If anything can go wrong, it will inherit the earth." And I'll be damned if that isn't appropriate to the game and the era in which it was conceived.
That's very true. Yeah, no, it's a prescient quote, I would say, about the state of the world at large. And honestly, I do gotta say, you mentioned you were gonna play Yuge again, right? At some point, like the campaign of 30 levels.
Yeah, it occurred to me, yeah.
It occurred to you, yeah.
But it'll be so long later, I'll be like 35.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. Because you should do an in-depth analysis of the themes and motifs of the story of Yuge, I think.
I would love to do that, and remember that I've considered, well, it's not even consideration, it's just a matter of time, really, the erection of a Mararthon Yuge story page.
Okay.
Which will be part of the VFXofficial.com reboot.
Okay. Well, I look forward to that, because I really look forward to your thoughts on, a lot of the things that are discussed in Marathon Yuge, such as the state of the world, the human race, and really, like literally everything else.
Yeah, it'll make the odd ramblings on ap.johnislands.net sound like some simian food holes aimed at barfing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Salt on Barfa. That's what it'll.
Assault on Barfa.
Like an assault on Barfa.
Although I must say, I think the most interesting part.
Larfa. Excuse me.
Yeah, Larfa.
L. Gotta get that right.
More like Barfa.
There you go.
I find it most interesting about even Steven that he actually took the time to set up a chat room.
Oh yeah.
For people to come into at a certain time to ask him questions about a scenario that didn't get released because Mararthon got too old.
Apparently, Xeon started a Discord for the Meat server called the Meat Cord channel, which I think has yet to have a single person join. But he stopped by several times to let us know of its existence.
Oh.
So apparently,
I'll write that down and go down to it. Sorry, Camphor Xeon.
Yeah, I think you need to be invited to it. But the Meat Cord, I remember is what it's called.
Meat Cord.
Meat Cord. It's Meat Cord sounds like a video that would be on hotline.com.
Yeah, it sounds like something Aqua's mom would say.
Yeah.
Sorry, Aqua's mom. We all like you because
of your Meat Cord. Anyways, okay, let's see. What else you got on here?
So the next website is rjcooper.com/wheels. Have you ever heard of Wheels?
Not heard of Wheels.
Okay, so it's a game made using the Mararthon engine. So it's not a marathon game, at least not any more than a game like Prime Target or Damage Incorporated would be a marathon game, but it was made for physically disabled kids.
Oh.
And it's meant to provide, quote, important feedback for power wheelchair training, unquote.
Okay.
And it's to be played on not just keyboard and or mouse, but also on SAM joystick. I don't know what that stands for, so I'm just going to call it the Fat Sam joystick. Fat Sam joystick, Fat Sam trackball, or IntelliKeys, which is an alternative keyboard that R.J. Cooper and Associates invented.
I had no idea a lot of these scenarios existed.
Yeah,
Until tonight.
It's pretty incredible.
20 years too late.
Those of you listening, if you go to the website, one of the first pictures you see is firstly in-action game picture, and another picture of a kid in a wheelchair playing the game on a desktop computer. And of course, it being for kids, it isn't gory or anything. There are guns. In fact, the gun we're looking at right now kind of looks a bit like how do you pronounce it? Flechette?
I'm not sure. The SMG, it kind of looks like...
SMG, I'll call it that.
There's a creepy-ass clown.
Yeah, so you fight, among other things, clowns that throw pies at you. And actually, the wonderful Marathon Legends TCBR, the master of marathon speedruns, actually has a few speedrun videos of Wheels on his YouTube channel. So
oh shit, really?
Yeah, so just search TCBR Marathon Wheels.
Marathon Wheels.
Yeah, and you'll probably find it. It does a pretty good job.
I like that it's $59.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
For 9.7 megabytes.
You can seemingly still buy Wheels for $59 and IntelliKeys for $395. And I for one, firmly believe, without even having ever played it, that Wheels is worth every cent. $59? Yeah. I wonder if it's even still... It's probably not still technically possible to buy it.
I don't know though. You can. I bet the download link is broken, but you can pay with PayPal. It looks like.
Yeah, but I did look earlier at rjcooper.com, and yeah, there isn't still an active link to Wheels. It's just something you find thanks to good old page 2401.
Yeah.
Good thing we still have that. Otherwise, we would never discover this golden nugget.
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
I would never have known about it 20 years after it mattered.
Yeah. It's pretty neat. Here's another piece of marathon trivia since we talked about IntelliKeys. One of the people behind the marathon menu theme makers Power of 7, or at least the band that came out of. I don't know if he was actually in Power of 7, but the band that came out of, Psychosonic, one of the members of that band, Simon Beale, who nowadays goes by the name Vox Day, actually made this ridiculous mouse recently. It's called the War Mouse, and it has 18 buttons, a scroll wheel, a thumb-operated joystick, and 512K of memory. And here's a passage. Mouse designer Theodore Beale says, "You can do far more with this mouse than most people are likely to realize at first. You can launch applications from the desktop, and in your browser you can fire up a specific internet site with one button, then close it with a double click on the same button. In Writer and Calc you can have your most powerful and complicated macros on one row of buttons and simple functions like bold, undo, and format cell on another. It's very useful in games like World of Warcraft because even without taking the joystick into account, you've got 16 commands within one click, 40 within 2, and all 72 icons on the 6 action pages within just 2 double clicks or less. In short, if Mad Boy ever finds out about this, he's going to blow a fucking gasket."
And if you go to warmouse.com/podcasteventcore, you can get 30%. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure there's some legal thing that we get me in trouble.
Yeah. God, that guy is the cheese. Vox Day.
Vox Day. How did you find this? This is like insane you really like dug into like the power of 7, dude. Is what making a war mouse. Now, how did you find that?
I just remember going to, I think, the music page on Mararthon Story, and I saw that the themes were made by Power of 7, and then I scrolled down and saw, oh yeah, that came out of this band Psychosonic, so I looked them up.
Okay.
And I saw there was a link for one of the main members behind it, and he's the cheese. He's the cheese for so many reasons.
Oh yeah. What did Marathon Infinity's theme sound like? Did that sound like what was it? Some Dragon Ball Z theme or something like that? I'm sure I'm pissing off. Yeah, I'm sure I'm pissing off people that know. I used to know. It sounded like a theme of like some anime or something like that. I can't remember.
Probably, but Psychosonic, if you heard their music, it's the cheese.
It's the cheese. Okay.
Okay. I mean, I haven't heard much of their music, but their tracks, a lot of them really do sound like the Marathon mini theme over and over. So if that's your thing, but with really bad like wannabe cyberpunk lyrics with shitty double entendres and ham-fisted attempts at political commentary.
Really? It's not just one dude like that makes.
Oh no, it was like 4 people.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's concerning. Let's see what else you got here.
Let's see. Oh, and by the way, I'm never going to buy that War Mouse.
But we can get 30% off if you go to warmouse.com /podcast.
If someone wants to get it from me as like a joke, I'll do it. In fact, I'll take it, and it, by the way, costs $75. Okay, wheels cost $16 less than that. And of course, wheels, as we all know, is much better. But and keep in mind, I mean, that was priced in the '90s, so
that's
even more now. So
they were really gouging the parents of these disabled people when you really think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I think I have a bone to pick with the Wheels game development now.
Although it has occurred to me that Wheels, I almost said Marathon Wheels, but it's not Marathon, however much I want it to be. Wheels is probably to Marathon what Chex Quest 3D is to Doom. Did you ever read that?
No.
Oh, man,
I never even played Doom, man.
Oh, you never did?
Oh, no. I have played like a shockingly small amount of video games over the years. But go on, tell me about this Doom spin-off.
Yeah, so in the 90s, and I remember seeing commercials for this before I was even really familiar with Doom, commercials on TV. The company that makes Chex, whatever, Chex cereal.
Yeah, the cereal. Okay.
They came up with this marketing campaign where they would ship out a select few boxes with CD-ROMs of a video game called Chex Quest 3D, which utilized the Doom engine. And so you were this hero who was made of Chex, I guess, and you went around, I guess, destroying these green slime monsters.
Okay.
And
nice.
I don't know how actually good or challenging it could have possibly been. I don't know if it had like nightmare difficulty level the way that Doom does. It could have been, genuinely fun and challenging to play even for adults, but yeah. So that was the thing for kids, and I think this is to Marathon what Chex Quest 3D was to do.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So with that out of the way, I think I've covered everything about Wheels that I wanted to for now.
What else?
If anyone wants me to play, use that War Mouse, you can go ahead and talk to me about it, and I'll even use it on Marathon. I'll try to do it on Marathon games and hopefully piss off Mad Boy even more.
You should, what you should do is you should get the War Mouse and then do a playthrough of Wheels, basically. But you'd have to fork out $59. You'd have to fork out however much that is total for both those things if you want to do a playthrough. Wheels and the War Mouse, that's like $100-some. I'm too high to do the math right now, but it's like it's somewhere around there.
I thought you said you couldn't discuss that.
No, I never said that. Spooky can't discuss that, but I sure can.
Well, yeah, I'll do it. Maybe someday. Yeah, when I get money, I'll go ahead, I'll buy that fucking war mouse.
No, you gotta convince.
I'll buy wheels.
Okay, well, you gotta convince other people to send you the money. That's your whole goal, is to convince other people.
How am I going to do that?
I have no idea.
Oh wait, I know what I'll do.
Do a Kickstarter.
Well, I'll sell copies of albums.
Do you? Oh, there you go. Do you have any of like the original Mararthon like packages or anything like that?
No, I wish I did. My history with that was that at some point, I think my dad got the original trilogy in a box set or something.
Like this one up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was in the mid-90s, and so we had, of course, 1, 2, and Infinity. But at some point, for whatever reason, we lost 1 in Infinity, so I spent much of my early youth having 2, which I never took the time to really play through. I would just kind of mess around and cheat and jump to different levels and get my ass kicked. But that had the demos for 1, Infinity, Abuse. I think that's it.
My dad
and Pathways in the Darkness too.
My dad used to play Abuse. That was like the only video game he ever played.
Yeah.
I was actually searching Abuse like literally yesterday or the day before, and it looks like there's like a port for Windows, I think, for it. But I don't know if there's anything for Mac, like OS X.
I feel like I remember playing it on OS X a couple of times.
Yeah. Okay. I gotcha. Yeah, but I mean, if you did have the original games, you could sell those on like eBay to the chief. Because he buys like everything Mararthon related.
Wait, the chief?
Yeah, the guy who stops by like the meat server and everything. He's always like he's got the biggest collection, I think, of like physical Mararthon games from like Japan and and other places,
What does he go by in the meat server? Because I don't think I've seen
the chief. It's like DE and then chief. Yeah, he's on the Discord, I think. He always posts shit about like all these auctions. I think he outbid me for like a box set one time, which called me out. Oh yeah, here he is. Literally his last post earlier today was Durandal on eBay.
Good.
But anyways, yeah.
So, one more link. And then a few honorable mentions, but this is the main one. It is a page by this person at a college basically arguing for the educational merits of Mararthon. In fact, I think that's about verbatim what the title of the page is, the educational possibilities of Mararthon. And it's pretty funny. I mean, he starts off talking about how there are different literary and mythological references. But here's the golden nugget here. I use that term way too much, but whatever.
Okay.
Quote, beyond the literary merit of Mararthon, the game comes with the ability to make your own maps. This has led to the creation of a huge number of third-person maps, and he goes on about, how there's examples of future, fantasy, modern-day, Renaissance Italy, which of course is Tempest Irae. But here's where it gets funny. It would take some work, but a teacher could use this feature to make maps of real things and use these maps to have virtual field trips. The children could go individually or in groups and explore the place created, reading the terminals to find information the teacher desires to provide. This would allow a teacher to go anywhere without having to worry about expense or if it existed anymore.
Or if it existed. Yeah, I'd love to see the Stonehenge Mararthon recreation, right? Like, that's what I'd love to see.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I genuinely would. I'm just trying to imagine the teacher.
Is this real though? Like,
I think so.
This is a real thing?
I don't know if it was a joke, but it's on a .edu site.
You're right, yeah. Wow, look at that. Well, this is, I think, in a lot of ways what you could kind of do with Yuge, in your, what do they call it? Explication of the Yuge plot. Have you ever explicated a thing like in English classes where you analyze the themes and the motifs? And
yeah, but this would be the first time I would actually feel like doing it. Not that I necessarily don't feel like it with anything else I've analyzed, but I just don't feel like it because it's an assignment.
Sure.
Hey, I'm done with it.
But you got a good roadmap with this dude's pitch on Mararthon being in college.
And yeah, you know what? Even though, and I've also said this already in one of the huge playthrough videos, but even though I consider myself done with being a student and done with academia in general for the foreseeable future, I would gladly break that code if it meant I could teach a Mararthon Yuge class, because I would kill that shit.
Right.
But yeah, I just really love the idea of the teacher thinking, damn it, lost funding to go to this area, or that building got bulldozed. Right, just takes out Wayland and starts hacking away at a replica of it. Yeah, the kids are all confused. And then eventually there will be a point where VR is a common part of class, and the teacher's asking students, so it's a special day today, where do you want to go go over this material? Because in the olden days you just say, oh yeah, outside by the park, we'll go out there and study together. And this kid would just throw out like duality, whereupon the teacher would smack the student for being such a basic bitch, suggesting duality
right.
with aliens. And 15-second death delay, respawn delay.
Oh god.
And she would rightfully suggest that they instead, she would insist that they go instead to One Hell of a Shitty Job by Bush Masoni from Suicide Map Pack 19.
Oh, God. Guys with your fucking suicide maps. I hate those. Yeah, that's an interesting link. I remember being surprised when I had found out that like Mararthon existed in the world outside of the action sack, as I referred to before. Right. I remember being really surprised at just how many old websites there were for it. But some of these are, I gotta give you credit. Some of these are like mildly surprising, and like this one, and then the one with the fake wife.
Right.
Those are fucking weird, man.
Yeah, and I think in part of that site, the Philip Moyer / Ariane Connor site, we can actually see a bunch of pictures from old anime expos from like 97. And
really?
Yeah, it's just kind of weird because that's a certain brand of, as loaded as this term is now, cringe, that I think we kind of subconsciously associate with the present time, and we forget, like, oh yeah, that was around for a long time, it just didn't become so prominent until recent years.
I gotcha. Yeah. You can go as late as 2016 in this EDU page. Oh, never mind. I guess it doesn't work. Oh. Yeah, these are cool, man.
Now for just a few honorable mentions, and again, Douche Tower. We'll get to the classics you want, the J. Christopher Huddy sites, the AP one, etc. At another time. All the more incentive for this to not be the last episode, eh? But for now, I'm going to start with the page for Mararthon Arena. Have you heard of that or read about it?
Mararthon Arena. Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be a mod for Quake 3.
Okay.
Its work was started on it not long after Quake 3 came out in 2000, and to see the main product coordinator tell it, it's still happening.
Okay.
Albeit after many false starts and delays and rage quits.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, I know Marathon Shadow is still in production, so
Marathon Shadow.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta look it up. But anyways, continue.
Yeah. So the last update was made in 2014.
Really?
And I actually commented in there asking in mid 2016 what the status report was, and the main coordinator, Riskit, R-I-S-C-I-T, replied saying that work is still underway.
Okay.
And I tried commenting again yesterday to check in again, but there's some kind of website bug seemingly where that isn't possible, although I guess you could try right now and see if it's just me.
Where do you go to comment on this?
You just click on comments.
How am I not seeing comments right now?
You just click.
Oh, right here in the news update. Okay.
Wow, it's just me and then Riskit.
Yeah, well, look at that.
So it's been in the works on and off since 2000, effectively making it the Chinese democracy or Duke Nukem Forever of Marathon.
So, or the Marathon Shadow of Marathon.
So risk it. If you're listening, stop camping.
Very important message. Absolutely. What else you got on here?
Let's see.
Dr. Lex?
Dr. Lex. I actually haven't gone through this, the page that I'm thinking of, but he just took the time to compare Mararthon to 6 other FPS games of the era, which is Doom, of course, Duke Nukem, Wolfenstein 3D, Quake, Rise of a Triad, and System Shock. And he goes over why he thinks Mararthon is the best in basically every department, whether it be, I guess, visuals or story or action, weapons, monsters, you name it. And I remember finding that like 12 years ago, actually, and finding it entertaining. But I guess it just kind of reminded me of how much the whole classic FPS genre was a huge part, if you will, of my coming of age. It just made me think about one day when I was in the 7th grade, when I was 12, I actually went to school with these shitty handmade tattoos on my arm with a marker of all these names and logos of those classic FPS ones, even the really shitty and or obscure ones that no one cared about, like Corridor 7 and stuff. And I think I had Rise of a Triad in there, and people at school were like, "Man, what is wrong with you, Kyle?"
Right. You have it on you, like drawn on your arm.
Yeah,
right?
I had Wolf
the logos.
Yeah, I put the Quake logo, and I had Mararthon, of course.
You just like advertising, man. You just like
advertising
those games, the War Mouse. You know, it's all about
War Mouse.
All about the ad.
Wasn't around back then.
Right. You know.
I wouldn't have anyway because Flux stays the cheese.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, it looks like this has been updated at least within the last 10 years, so that makes it, pretty relevant, relatively speaking, in the Mararthon community. It's got a hot link to simplicity. This Dr. Lex's Mararthon page, these are all really retro websites, by the way, in their layout and design, which is pretty cool.
I must say, though I don't bemoan completely the, evolution, the shifts of the internet over the years. I do kind of like that the old sites aren't as flattened content-wise or presentation-wise. Like, how sometimes you go to sites for certain things today, whether it be for a band or a company, it's kind of just like a simple directory to the social media sites.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Yeah.
I kind of like seeing that personality, which I intend to keep in the NEFX official reboot, even if it's totally irrelevant.
Yeah, man.
Probably anyone gives a crap, but I will give a crap when I erect the Mararthon huge story page and
they will
expose everything.
They will, yeah. Black text or yellow text on a black background, man. I love it.
Yeah, especially with the Starry Sky wallpaper.
Yeah, for sure.
And the visitor account at the bottom. The first iteration of the NEFX site actually had one of those. Just because.
The guest book type thing?
Well, the visitor account.
Okay, I see.
But yeah, maybe I should include a guest book.
There you go. Yeah, I remember those. Sign the guest book.
Yeah.
You got one more here? Is that what that is?
Just one last one. It's not even accessible via the archive, but it is interesting to note. It is a Palace chat room for Mararthon. And the Palace is an old visual interactive chat client, which is still in use today, albeit obviously not as widely used. But apparently at one point there was actually a Palace room for Mararthon, so you could go in there, you'd have your little character basically with its own name and avatar. It'd be in a room, so I imagine this room looked Mararthon-ish and probably had those decorations, and people would just go in there, point and click to move their character around and basically act like whoever talk. So
is it? You said it's not around anymore. Is that right?
Yeah, the
Mararthon one isn't.
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of like Discord or whatever, I suppose.
Yeah.
Or the always busy IRC channel. #ALEF1.
I should go to those rooms since I'm never on them.
Yeah, man. People are always talking shit about you. It's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so you've amassed, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have 9 links here that you're going to post, right, in your YouTube video.
Yeah.
And it's not going to say, this video is about my movie. It's going to have these 9 links.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's not really much else to report on in the community these days, you know.
Yeah, I don't quite think so.
Shit's pretty dead. Yeah.
But I'm still keeping it. I'm not saying I'm keeping the community going, but I'm still keeping things going for sure. I'm thinking of moving towards more variety in my hosting.
Oh, nice.
So
using some size brackets maybe, and
yeah. Well, I've been going through the Bungie archives and just thinking of just hosting whatever I find in there, seeing whatever is really remarkable.
Right.
Probably less. I mean, say what you will about the state of the community, we've definitely come a long ways in terms of design. I think
I'm pretty
for as much as quantity has gone down, the quality.
Right.
I don't want to be an elitist jerk, but the quality has, I think, gone up.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, partly a function of just time and experience.
Oh yeah, and I mean, having way too much time on your hands to like create levels that like you probably spend more time creating a level for Mararthon than it is ever actually played, like as a Mararthon map.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, if you have the dedication to do that, man, it's gangbusters. I mean, that's my word of the night. Yeah.
Yeah, gangbusters.
It's you know, I mean, it's really worth it.
Right.
It's not, but yeah.
Oh, it's been worth it to me so far.
Oh, that's good.
Although I just made that one level and 5 huge parts.
Yeah.
But on that note, I actually wanted to ask about Mararthon Huge and their part in it.
Oh yeah.
Definitely for sure. We'd have to also ask Douche Tower in if he'd be up for it. We could have an interview with him on this, but
right.
But obviously you're the biggest contributor to huge parts, 133, right?
Oh yeah, in terms of like the map segments that I made, the huge parts that we called it. Yeah, that was 130, I think.
I know
plus the last. Yeah, right. Plus the last level. I think the next one,
which is a definite colossus.
I think the next one was Ryoko, who was at 100. If I'm
I remember that. So it was you, then Ryoko, and then me at the bottom with 5.
Yeah, you were at the very bottom with 5. Well, as it came about, I forget how like Douche Tower got into the idea of like procedural map generation, but he did it with Huge Packs, which was the online or the multiplayer map pack with like 20,000 net maps. And so, like, very naturally, that kind of segued into making this scenario, right? And then you actually had posted the review, obviously, with the Mararthon Huge name, and then it just seemed like a given that was something, you know, we should try to do. But I just clearly remember, like, as we were making it, it just kind of exponentially kept sort of growing in, like, its... like in his sort of ambition, if that makes sense, which sounds so like pretentious, but like we just kept adding shit to the game. Like I remember, like we decided to have it be a colors scenario, right? And then I think I added the Trumpernauts. Oh god, I think that was like the second thing that I did, which was like my first sort of experience with. Editing the shapes file of like monsters and moving around and everything, which was really fun to find the multiple profiles of this. right. But then after that, we just kept adding shit. Like I added the shit sticks and the huge pistols, and the colors, and then like the juice liquid we decided to add. Just like stupid shit that was like, hey, that would be kind of random to have in the scenario, and then it would create a massive headache for us because it took us like 15 times to get the juice texture right. But like once it was kind of to a big enough point where we had all these new shapes and like 2 new weapons and like 2 new boss monsters, we like thought it should have some sort of plot, right? So naturally, like it has just the most inside jokes of the Mararthon community that mostly I probably understand about 1/3 of them totally. And the game itself is probably thoroughly understood by about 2% people in the entire planet, right?
Right.
And the rest of it's just kind of, it's very strange. So, you know, we didn't want to like Douche Tower, he wrote mainly the story. He didn't want to spend too much time on it, you know, which is why the end terminals are just random gibberish, rather than like another update of the story, because we didn't want to do like 60 terminals instead of 30, right? But I did the weapons, the new monster shapes, so even like the Bobs holding the huge pistols I did, the new, like, yeah, everything about the new weapon shapes, and then the two boss monsters that I added. And I think we kind of both worked together on like the juice liquid or whatever. And yeah, I just made a shitload of the huge parts and everything. So yeah, it was pretty cool thing to work on.
Yeah, I enjoyed going through the terminals, whether they be, you know, the end ones where it's more a string of words, or the general terminals that just kind of compiled like full quotes.
Yeah.
It was nice to, you know, kind of catch the quote, like, oh yeah, there's me with my stats. There's there's Iron's talking about luck or something, you know. There's that guy who picked the fight last year for no reason because people made net maps or whatever.
Oh yeah, that was, what was that guy's name?
It was 7.
He had the
771 Alpha.
That's right. Yeah, the dude with the old, the guy who needed a new computer. That's right. Yeah,
it was funny.
Yeah, no, I think Irons created a sort of script. I forget what it was called. Douche Tower would know. That just randomly generated, like, put all those quotes together.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, just vomited out whatever the fuck, you know.
Yeah, and it's good reviewing material because it makes me want to go back to the forums or wherever and kind of check out where that stuff's from.
Yeah. You thought that I was the subject of the well.
So that's the reference that I got wrong.
Yes.
Douche Tower said I got something wrong.
Oh, that's right.
I was wondering what it was.
Yeah, it was at least that. I don't know if there was more, but yeah, it was that, because that was from Alan on the forums.
Okay.
Because he was being trolled by a bunch of people, and then he said that, and then people started posting pictures of wells. So very naturally.
I just thought it was you because I always said you or saw you say it.
Yeah, well, it's like a 10-year-old joke, like a 10-year-old like one beat joke that is way overused. But. And actually, one of the interesting things I should point out that's
and
not really interesting.
The staples have so great.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's so interesting or not. But like the random terminals at the end, I believe, kind of change from chapter to chapter in the game because they kind of stay relevant to whatever the chapter is. So the chapter about juice, there's a lot of juice quotes. The chapter with well, I think, had a lot of the Alan topic.
Yeah.
And then I think a bunch of the others had just random ones. So that was a random factoid about I don't know why we did that, because like literally no one would notice ever, you know. So yeah. That was another thing we wasted time on when we were making Huge.
I do wonder about that, but I wanted to ask first, especially since you put so much effort, so much content into this thing. When you were making the Huge parts, did you aim to do something specifically new, or was it more just like a day at the office for Windbreaker, the veteran nap designer?
The veteran napper. I think like I would get certain ideas into, you know, how to approach, because you don't have to texture anything, you don't have to shade anything, right? You just have to worry about like the general architecture when you're making those parts that were put into the procedural generator. And so that allowed like a certain freedom in how, like, just making these random parts that I might not usually make, because I would have to make a whole map around it, right? But in terms of the quantity, I think actually I wanted to beat Ryoko, obviously.
Right.
And so I think once I made, like, it was kind of funny because I started it in April, like right after like Douche Tower had made the templates for it.
Yeah.
And of course we finished in July. if I recall right. And I made like 60 huge parts over the course of like April to June or whatever. And then like Ryoko just randomly showed up like he does, and he made like 40 in like a night, and then like 25 the next day. And so then I made like 60 over the course of 2 months, and he made like 60 or 70 in the course of 2 days.
Yeah.
And so that's why at that point it became a mission to beat him mainly, because he had caught up to me so easily. So then it became like I did a lot of the smaller huge parts at that point because they were easier to churn out. So that's kind of how I ended up with. I don't know why I went 30 huge parts past him. I think it was because I had a feeling he was going to upload a final pack of like 45.
Yeah, see, now you know how I feel with Douche Tower.
Right, exactly. There you go. Yeah, so that was why the number ended up so high. It was like a slight competition. But also just because, yeah, they were fun to make, and they were like the more that I made, the more that like my segments would end up in the game, which I kind of wanted to do, especially when it started to appear like a weird amount of people were contributing like to the project, right?
It became like this feeding frenzy.
An entirely too large amount of people. Like if you look at the credits, it's actually like I think nine people, if I'm correct. Yeah. And then, of course, Irons and Patrick lended images and everything.
Oh, I didn't know Patrick was part of it. That's cool.
Yeah, he lended. I think we used existing images from him.
Okay.
But yeah. And then the very end song at the final screen is from Irons as well.
Yeah, I remember that. I was actually thinking having that be the outro music to this episode.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Because I had already heard it from before. So when I heard it in the ending, I was like, yes, thank you. That's so appropriate.
Right. Which also is funny that how fast you had to read the final screen of Yuge. Because that was I remember Douche Tower being like, you should space this out more to give more space to read. And I was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
And then like you're literally like reading through it at like 200 words a minute.
I thought that was intentional. I thought that was just like a troll.
No, actually, I still maintain if you read it in your head, like if you just read it, in your head, not out loud, that you can get through it.
It's you're probably right.
If you try to read it out loud, that's when it becomes an issue.
I was momentarily impressed with myself at how fast I was going for a bit before my mouth and tongue got fatigued, and I just started sounding like a slurring drunk.
Oh yeah.
For a moment there, it was like a rapping auctioneer or something.
Right, yeah. So that's why I had created that amount of huge parts for the game. And then the last level, I think I just wanted to do, because I always wanted to do a solo map, and like every time I've tried, I've just not been able to like finish because I've kind of lost interest, or like the project doesn't seem to be that active or whatever. But that was different with this game, and I didn't have to. And very important, I didn't have to texture it. That was the most important thing, which nearly didn't happen because Douche Tower had to modify his texturing like script to work on this level instead of huge parts.
Yeah.
So that's actually the whole reason the level is in the game, because if he hadn't have done that, I probably like would not have textured that level like with colors. So yeah, the last, and of course like you can't pass up an opportunity to build the canonical Douche Tower. Absolutely.
Right.
So
when you were making these huge parts, were there any particular concepts or structural ideas you wanted to explore? Because I remember coming over here when you were working on them, seeing them in progress, how you would wring the most opportunities out of even, theoretically what would be like one of the smaller rooms, like an ammo room. I remember you took a room and made it really tall, because ultimately we know that the huge parts, huge templates, they're pretty boxed in with respect to length and width, but not in height. So you can take something really small and make a big, douche tower out of it, and make it something really epic with lots of parts in it, and like a nice little bath or pool at the top, and different levels, staircases, points for enemies to spawn in.
I think that sort of the design of my own map segments. Mainly, it wasn't as much like a specific idea over the course of 130 segments or whatever. It was more just, I think like, I don't even know how to describe it actually, which also sounds super pretentious, but like, I think it was just kind of, I would get to think of little architectural details that I could do. So like with that ammo room that actually everyone hates because it's really slow, you were kind of mentioning how like there's only so many like permutations of what you can do within that length and width, right? But if you make it taller, you can explore different options or overlap or whatever. So that's why I kind of decided to do that one, because when you're doing like 130 of them, you start to have to change things up. But I just went about it, I think, kind of on a smaller scale of how I like make my own maps, which is you get some sort of image of like architecture and a section of the map, or you think of some like element of gameplay, like a player can go to this point and then jump off to this point and like see something going on down here, right? And so it's just a matter of kind of following through on those ideas and knowing how to apply them. But I didn't have any specific things, I don't think, that I said. Or I guess I did have like certain challenges. Like there's one huge part that's like a 4 or 5 story structure that I think you went through. You did go through in the huge playthrough, where like the Trumpernaut spawns outside, and you're just going up this like tower. But that was like the challenge of, okay, how many floors can I put in this huge part? Also because you can't intersect vertices, so that was an extra headache, because you had to, keep all the vertices shown in Wayland, and you couldn't draw onto the same exact point, which would become like a huge headache when you up at 3 or 4 levels. But so I'd have like challenges like that, or making a tall ammo room that would piss people off. Or, like the crusher. There was a section where I made like some sort of crusher thing. So, you'd have like little tiny challenges within the huge parts, but, it was just a matter of getting them done, I guess.
Yeah. I couldn't think that I don't recall ever being pissed off by a huge part, much less an ammo room.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'm just...
You're not as impatient as, like, most gamers, I would say.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think, actually, honestly, something about doing the recorded playthroughs with me talking and basically being public makes me nicer.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty nicer. I mean, I don't, like, throw tantrums when I lose otherwise, but maybe somehow being more personable and everything just makes me calmer.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But I can say for sure that, especially after hearing all this, I feel that much more motivated to go through those parts in Wayland and kind of break down how they were structured and everything, so I can apply that to my own map making.
Oh yeah,
whatever way possible.
Well, yeah, I mean, as soon as you start using, 4 heights or 5 heights or 6 heights, right? The opportunities really open up for your designing and your design parameters. So, like, if you break down those huge parts, you'll be surprised. You'll be like, damn, sometimes there's like 50 heights in this segment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and I guess, like, especially with the community being so dead, it's hard sometimes, like, to find, like, I just mostly make maps just for the kind of hell of it now.
Yeah.
And especially, like, as I got better, it was fun, like, within the last year to try to make, like, a storm map, or, like, a map that is, like, a volcano or whatever, because I never tried to do those before, but there were things that I always wanted to explore.
Right.
And within the last year, Douche Tower was willing enough to help me with, like, the scripting and all that, and I was somewhat smart enough to figure out the other stuff. So I just kind of do it for the hell of it now,
Yeah.
And for me, it's like just a matter of setting a goal of like 2 like parts. When I was doing huge, like, okay, I want to do like 2 parts tonight, or like, I want to make like 2 maps within the next 2 weeks or something like that. So you can do that, and then when you get done, you feel like, oh, I did something, and then nobody plays them, and it's it's all right.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna break that trend.
Oh,
I
very
will
good.
spend more time playing Yuge than everyone spent time making it combined.
Well, you got some competition. I hear that Sharky Lino's doing his own.
Yeah, but you know
playthrough.
what? He didn't upload video, so it didn't happen.
Oh, there you go. That's a good point you make. He's got to have proof of his playthroughs for us to take them
Of
seriously.
course, I'm talking crap. I better watch out. He's gonna come down and put me in his washing machine.
He's got to play Huge on his washing machine as
Yeah.
it goes through a cycle. Yeah.
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 I'm sure at some point someone could probably play Marathon on a washing machine.
Yeah, you can already do that. You just take a laptop and put it on top. I was just thinking of a laptop on top of a washing machine.
But
And you film the washing machine and the laptop, and through some fucking miracle, like 25,000 people view it. Because his washing machines have a shitload of views, and I'm like,
yeah,
how are you doing, man?
yeah.
But
I was saying that, like, if there's a more high-tech washing machine with a little built-in computer interface, you could hack it to play Marathon on.
there you go.
But yeah, I imagine that with those kinds of small parameters, the huge parts, you can definitely have opportunity to learn certain things about design and getting things to work in Wayland because there's no pressure. You just have to make a bunch of really small things that work.
Yeah, and that was I think that was a way that I think I mentioned that kind of to you and maybe to one or two other people. Like it's if you did want to learn mapping, it's actually a really good way to learn some conventions of it because you don't have to worry about texturing and shading, and making an entire part. You can just worry about making this one little thing. So yeah, it was a good way to learn some of the parameters of Wayland and stuff. And yeah, I would say if you really wanted to do it, invent a time machine and go back to like May and make a bunch of huge parts.
Yeah.
And then they would make it into Marathon Huge,
Yeah, well, I've said before in the meat server, I would like for somehow any effects in general to do something huge related.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know for sure at this point whether or not Douche Tower would ever want to launch another edition of it. He said he's kind of on the fence about it, from what I understand. But if nothing else, we can make like an actual scenario, even a mini one, and we'll make it with huge parts. We won't procedurally generate it, but we'll make enough huge parts and find a way to fit them together. It's not unlike how we make our music.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, I mean, I don't think he would be opposed to like procedurally generating huge parts. You would just have to do all of the work of the scenario.
Oh yeah,
and then it would exist.
Yeah, I wouldn't just leave it up to him. I mean,
So then it wouldn't happen.
As far as I'm concerned,
Me neither.
he can retire from Marathon forever
Right.
if he wants to, because I mean, no one owes anyone anything anyway. But
The sequel,
especially after making Marathon huge, like, man, you should just retire for life.
Right. Well, my sequel idea is Marathon Huge 2 Electric Doogaloo, which is a scenario where instead of collecting like fail stashes, you collect probably like moppy puppies or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That could be fun. But if you supplied the huge parts, right, and the moppy puppy shape, I'm sure some things could happen.
Yeah.
You would just have to supply all of the content.
I'm willing to do that. But I will say that whatever the state of the community, if this is its last hurrah, it's a good one. It went out on a great note.
Oh yeah. I was pretty surprised at how many people contributed to like huge.
Yeah, I think everyone was surprised.
Yeah. It was you really, the opportunities are endless when you make a nonsensical, really easy to produce scenario.
And that's the other thing I was wondering about the themes. I don't know exactly who was involved with what regarding that. About the plot and.
Oh, you mean like an out? Yeah. Well, no. Douche Tower wrote like the 30 level scenario, and then he had me go back and edit it, right?
Right.
And so I went back and like changed some stuff here or there, or just made made some stuff clear or whatever, I thought. But then I think near the end of the scenario, I did change something about the end where I think it was that you lose all your fail stashes, right? Mm-hmm. Because then it vaguely follows the hero's journey in narrative form, where you have this like character dark moment, and I thought it would be kind of amusing if like this stupid nonsensical scenario actually you do lose all your fail stashes, and this is a big problem, you know. So I added that one terminal, and I wrote that one, and then I wrote the final screen. But in terms of like, I don't remember, he did a lot of the terminal writing himself, and I think he only asked me about like a couple things, if I'm correct. But he did, because he knows like way more of the sort of inside jokes than I do of the community, right? And the plot was mainly written for like an audience of 1 to 2, you know. So
so there's a lot of camaraderie, there's a lot of inside jokes, there's a lot of absurdity, seeming randomness, although there's context to everything, even if it seems random.
Right.
And then of course there's the thing with Trump and Yuge and nuking California and everything. It just seems like, let me see if there's like a thread I could pull somewhere, or if it's just all something I have to make up myself for the huge page.
What's funny is
story.
Well, what's funny is and this is why I was mentioning, you know, you should play the campaign again, because it would be amusing to see it again.
Yeah.
But there are actually like some threads that are like do kind of exist in the scenario. And there's even like some weird like foreshadowing of stuff. Like, so it kind of vaguely follows like the conventions of a plot. And I think there's probably stuff that you on a second playthrough it might make more sense. But you know, you're welcome to take a stab at it. You know?
Yeah, I'll take some time.
Yeah.
Granted, what I come up with will probably be kind of made up or just my own subjective interpretation that you and or Deuce Tower would look at it and think, what the hell?
Well, you should you should play the game again, read through the last final screen, not really quickly, but actually read through it, right? And then that might answer.
Well, I mean, I got the video, so I can just stop if it's too fast.
There you go. I just remember we did vaguely establish a string of a plot, and events that like lead up to other events, but in terms of like, it was mostly just inside jokes on Alan and like Moppy Puppy and shit.
Right.
So excuse me. Yeah. And obviously, you know, Administrator TK. Like, there are certain things. You know?
Yeah, I definitely recognize a few of his quotes in there.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So, yeah, that's about all I got on the Yuge. So.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, is that about all? Is that about all we have? I don't know how long we went. An hour and 37 minutes for me. That's
it's like the length of a huge playthrough video.
Yeah, there you go. Well, cool. Yeah, this was fun, and I hope you can all tune in for our next guest, which is going to be who's that going to be, Edmund?
Well, I don't know that we could get one. It'll be either Douche Tower or Philip Moyers.
No,
Harry and Connor.
I did want to have Eddie Dingle here, but he couldn't make it tonight.
Of course, yeah. And I would, in theory, love to have Bingen, noted in effects, come out here, but for one thing, well, I mean, he could be an interesting foil because he doesn't know about this stuff, but I'm sure he'd probably be bored and feel awkward because he isn't familiar with Mararthon. That, and he's in Minneapolis right now, so that wouldn't be feasible unless we could get like a Skype chat, but that'd just be odd.
Right.
Anyway, though,
you know who I want to get as our next guest, and I know that they were at least listening to the first probably 2 minutes of this video, but I want to get Patrick on Podcast Event Core. Send us your Skype name, send us your phone number, or whatever, but I want to get Patrick on this huge, even if he communicates solely through images, it would be worth it.
Or out of context Hegelian riddles or something.
There you go. I'm shooting for the stars. I want Patrick on this podcast.
You know what? In keeping with the tradition of a certain podcast I won't name because I never heard it. Don't worry, I was never supposed to hear it and I never heard it, but I'm going to copy it anyway, as if I'd heard it, which I didn't. I said I was going to bring you a keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have... I forgot that I left mine at Comrade Sosin's house. Oh, you can't do musical typing? I wonder why that's...
So you're going to play the theme?
No, we were going to play it together.
Oh.
We were going to improvise.
Oh, okay.
But this isn't cooperating. What I'm going to do instead is pull up a virtual keyboard on the internet.
You're not going to edit out this dead air, are you?
Nope. How do you use the black keys? Maybe I'll have to settle for a uniformly joyous...
Hey, I'm down for just some glissandos. Yeah, just go up and down the keyboard.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah. You're doing much better than I was, though.
Alright, Windbreaker, go ahead. Make a mountain. You can do stuff like... See, it's like freezing up and stalling.
Yeah, sure it is.
Yeah, it's not just that I suck. Right?
No.
But,
it couldn't be that.
But yeah, I mean, if you could do that, if you could do those rolls and stuff.
Yeah, if only, huh?
What?
If only, you know.
If only what?
I could do those glissandos, like you're saying.
Oh, yeah, you could. Yeah, anyway.
Though.
Yeah, you should drop by for a session sometime. Yeah, and I'd even drive you over.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have the keyboard ready for you, too.
Could we do it like a tandem bike? Can you tandem bike me over there?
Tandem bike?
Yes, yeah.
Is that where, like, two bikes are hooked together?
Yes, of course it is. You never heard of a tandem bike?
No.
We'll get a tandem bike. We'll ride over to your session. And then we'll do a podcast with Patrick. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So when do you think you could do that?
Sometime in the next 18 months.
God damn.
Yes. I'm a busy guy. I'm making huge parts, you know. What can I say? We'll do it soon.
Yeah, I know you've got other stuff on your plate for sure. I'd like to do it at least once.
Oh, yeah,
because I think
absolutely.
you can do it and we could like switch off too.
Yeah.
Because I have a kid over there already.
As long as you get Patrick, if you can get Patrick, I will be there immediately.
That sounds like an Aqua promise.
No, that's not. If you do get him, if you legitimately get him, yes, I will show up like tomorrow to jam.
Well,
I don't know why. I just want to talk to Patrick.
All right,
He's a mystery to me.
We jam on Wednesday.
Okay, sounds good. All right, that is it for the first episode, and one episode of one. Thanks for listening. If you still are, you've been listening for too long. Stay safe out there and practice safe sex and all that stuff. And I'm going to stop trying to be funny now. So,
And Merry Hugemas. We're not allowed to say Merry Hugemas anymore. It's a disgrace.
Merry Hugemas to all and to all a big night.